First of all, thank you, Patience, and let me extend Scott McCune's apologies for being stuck in London. I'm not sure if he's missing this event, which I know he was sorry not to be here, but I think he's also missing an opportunity to play golf with his Coca-Cola Japanese colleagues at Augusta National. With that, this presentation, as Patience said, is really in two parts. The front part is Scott's, so indulge me if I do my best to speak on behalf of my client, and if I stumble a little bit on Scott's words, I think you'll understand. And the second half is a little bit about our contribution, but I'm really making that contribution not just for VivaKi, Publicis Group, but for really all the agency partners of Coca-Cola. So, let me begin by talking a little bit about Coca-Cola and the situation. And you might already be thinking this, that Coca-Cola is, if not the most, one of the most recognized brands in the universe. So from a media perspective, you would just check the box. And sure, if you measured our success in terms of awareness, that would be true. But in a funny way, awareness is really Coke's problem, not its triumph. With 450 brands operating in 206 countries, and 2 million retailers selling over 1.6 billion servings of Coke products a day, 18,000 servings per second, it's hard to find a brand more ubiquitous than Coca-Cola. And it operates at about a 95% awareness factor. So if ubiquity is an edge, it's truly double-sided. The challenge that's unique for Coca-Cola is how to break through from the clutter of consistency. How to move Coke from perpetual to preferred, from incessant to irreplaceable, and from broad-based to beloved. Now, across 200 countries, and it's a full spectrum of countries and disparate markets to accomplish this. And don't forget, one of Coke's primary targets tend to be young adults and teens who are highly skeptical and passionate avid voiders. But at the end of the day, the goal remains the same. How to get consumers and key constituents to fall in love with Coca-Cola brands and to change their attitudes and their behaviors in a way that really would drive brand value. Now, when Muhtar Kent led the 2020 Vision Project for Coca-Cola, he really shaped a roadmap for winning in a redefined future. Looking ahead, he saw a world in which consumers make purchasing decisions that are based as much on the content of Coca-Cola's character as on the content and taste of its beverages. A world where the vast majority of consumers identify themselves as environmentally conscious and expect the same from the brands they use. It's a world where more and more marketing and communications take place on digital platforms and at the point of sale. In a world where more outlets are customized to their neighborhoods, where channel strategies have been redefined to a science. Now, Coke's goals are quite ambitious as a result of that roadmap. They want to double system revenue while increasing system margins, and that means doubling the servings to over 3 billion a day by 2020. They want to become one of the world's premier employers. They want to attain global leadership and corporate sustainability. They need to manage people, time, and money for greatest effectiveness, and they want to ensure that it is the most preferred and trusted beverage partner. Now, obviously, in 2020, this work that Muhtar and the roadmap Muhtar laid out has implications across the entire Coke organization. But really, for purposes of this conversation, I think what Scott would want to focus on is how the work helped Coca-Cola understand that marketing and innovation has a bigger role than ever in its future, and that Coca-Cola is truly a marketing system, and it is fast at work to ensure that marketing is not only the best in the industry, but among the best work in the world. Now, finding the most innovative ways to market is really the focus of our conversation this morning, both Scott's part and my part. And at the Coca-Cola Company, the marketing vision is delivered through IMC, or Integrated Marketing Communications, and their connections planning. The Coca-Cola way of marketing encompasses a rigorous and disciplined process, but the headlines are actually quite clear. Success pivots on Coke's ability to know people. It pivots on the ability to pursue a much broader definition of content. And it pivots on a redefinition, in fact, of connections themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's about creating emotional relationships that lead to brand love. Coke understands that it's most successful at creating emotional experiences when they tap into consumer passions, when they develop unique experiences around those passions, and they do it with exciting and proprietary content. Now, to do this consistently and in a sustainable fashion, I know that Scott and Coca-Cola would tell you that they need help. If you were standing here, he'd tell you that Coca-Cola doesn't get to this position and their future vision on their own. They need partners of all shapes and sizes. And it's an approach to IMC that means they work with many experts, and one of those being VivaKi Publicis Group, and in this particular case, the Starcom MediaVest Group, as one of those partners. Let me move over to my bit now. As we map our behavior and process to Coke's DNA, we too need to align our agency structure to deliver human passions, redefined content, new connections, and experiences, activated all in the pursuit of Coke brand love. And perhaps the best way to explain how SMG has been responding to Coke is to share a few success stories. And I'm going to let most of the work speak for itself. And I'm going to show you 3 examples, a couple from SMG and one from Ignition, which is another important Coca-Cola ad agency and partner, and how we've responded to the 2020 challenge. I think you'll see that in each case, it represents a blend of old and new, traditional and emerging, analog and digital, and they bring it all together inside the agency. And by that, physically blending teams, skill sets, and capabilities, and that we've achieved, and with our hope that we've achieved a more seamless integration of our work. Now, the first one I want to share with you is Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year travels the spectrum of tapping passions to deliver new content and connections. It's clearly driven by insights, not hard data as much as local knowledge of people and their passion for culture. Now, one thing that we've done internally is to transform our service teams on Coca-Cola into hubs, if you will, putting various disciplines together where they sit and work alongside each other. And I believe that because the Coke team in China works in such harmony, that the distance between insight and idea has been shortened significantly, and that the close proximity of planner and buyer has led to a more seamless activation of ideas into content, channels, and experiences. Now, Chinese New Year is the biggest and most important festival in China by far, a time of celebration and of family gathering. And Chinese people share a deep emotional connection to this particular time of year. Now, coming out of a tumultuous year of extraordinary highs with the Olympics and lows with the devastating storms and earthquakes, the 2009 celebration was particularly momentous. So Coke found a small, symbolic way of passing on hope and optimism for the year, ahead of the year, by creating a modern ritual. And please take a look.
The 2009 Chinese New Year celebration was imbued with renewed meaning and importance for the Chinese people to reconnect with their loved ones. We drew on Coca-Cola's history of positivity and hope and saw a human purpose for Coca-Cola in this moment. Imagine if Coca-Cola could create a ritual, act as a bridge between people, and be a catalyst for renewal and human connection. And so, first Coke of the Year was born. Coca-Cola invited the Chinese people to share their first Coke of the year with a special someone, as a small yet symbolic way of passing on hope and goodwill in the new year to come. This was brought to life by a moving film, which aired on TV and online, featuring the world-famous Chinese athlete Liu Xiang and his father. Liu Xiang is a controversial figure whose Olympic breakdown burnt into the national consciousness and drew the attention of the worldwide media.
我不会忘记我爸跟我讲的。
你知道你花了多少篮吗？10,006个。 只不过是又一个蓝而已。
新年第一瓶可口可乐，我一定要跟爸爸分享。你想与谁分享新年第一瓶可口可乐？
This was supported by a celebrity-studded New Year launch event and a PR coup by Chinese basketball legend Yao Ming visiting Liu Xiang during his recovery period to share with him his first Coke of the year. The second act, allowing people to share their first Coke of the year. We invited the public to participate, offered them to give a first Coke of the year to the person of their choice, in-store, online, and by mobile. The Chinese people's response to the first Coke of the year online experience was breathtaking. There were over 72 million page views, over 5 million stories submitted, and more than 16 million e-cards sent. The campaign generated huge PR power locally and internationally, reaching over $10 million of ad value. While the participating numbers were astounding, it was the depth of involvement, the heartfelt emotions, and the creativity the Chinese people poured into their stories and videos about their first Coke of the year that was most significant. Coca-Cola became an integral part of this Chinese New Year. We were able to become a change agent for people's behavior. And so, an old tradition is refreshed and a new ritual is born.